Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Well, for some crazy reason I thought I'd get out my Pinephone and fire it up and see all the new updates that have come out in the last year, because I haven't had it on for about a year now. And much to my surprise, there were none. So it's still a brick, and it's still a fraud, and the Kool-Aid drinkers are laughing at us because they got their $10 commission. And you know what? If you look at Pine 64's November update, they got Pinephones ready for Christmas. Ready for Christmas. Apparently you can still buy them. They don't do anything. They're no good, and nobody likes them. But you can still buy them. And they're also going to upgrade the website for Pine, which I assume means we're going to take down the we're doing this for the end user slogan that they used to screw people for the last few years, but get them to buy a phone that will never ever work. And I told you last year this phone will never work, and so far I'm correct. No one has proved me wrong. In fact, it's getting worse. There's a guy here. Pinephone Pro July 22 review. Mobile Linux is dying, and this is a guy who bought the Pro phone. And you can see it right here. I hope you can. Well, I shouldn't have clicked. I clicked too much. Let me go back. There it is. Pinephone Pro is on life support right there. I don't know if you can see that. Take that away. Anyway, let's see what he has to say.
And if you scroll over here to Manjaro ARM or Manjaro ARM and come to their, I'm running Fosh, on their dev or stable channel, pop that open. This beta 25 released 2 days ago. I saw it yesterday. I installed it, and I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the progress being made on the GUI front. We're going to come back to this.
So it's got a great GUI.
A little bit later. But for now, let's jump into the phone and see where we are software-wise, compatibility-wise, and see what's changed over the past 6 or so months since the phone's been released.
Nothing.
All right, so we have the phone booted up here. Let's go ahead and unlock it.
Oh, he's got the same password I do.
So this is Manjaro Fosh. Not much has changed in the UX department.
Not
it still
much has
kind of
changed.
follows the same paradigm that Fosh has always followed, which is this app drawer here, which is your home screen. You can scroll through your apps there.
There they are, scrolling again. It's the only thing this phone does well is scroll.
Top bar with your clock, your battery, and some widgets, applets over here.
I'm happy to report, after my Pinephone sitting in a drawer for approximately 8 months, still had 12% battery charge in it. I was impressed. I got it to boot to the desktop, and then I've had to plug it in so it wouldn't go down. But that was impressive. Wow, what a great phone.
And then your phone, messaging, internet, contacts, that sort of thing. So not much has changed there. What has changed? A couple things. Number one, I feel like they've optimized the software a little bit. The animations are a lot more fluid than the last time I used it, which was, I believe, Arch Linux around May of 2022. So that's nice to see the user experience getting a little bit better, the optimization getting there. What also has changed is instead of tapping the top bar to bring it down menu stuff, is you can now slide it down.
Oh, like everyone else does.
Settings for cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, battery, rotation, all of that sort of stuff. You have your lock button over here. And
that reminds me.
This is a nice quality of life change. It seems like it would be pretty small, but it's much more intuitive, especially if you're coming from Android. I was daily driving Bosch.
Coming from a phone that actually works.
I would continuously try to swipe down to get to these sorts of settings, but on every other version of it, you would have to just tap and it would bring it down. So that's a welcome change. It's a small thing, but
tapping. There's nothing wrong with tapping.
Usability of it. The operating system as a whole, I think, is really, really close to daily driving. I've always been.
Can you give us evidence to support that claim?
And, what's the other one? KDE as well. And on both of them, I think they're really close to having a post-beta release. There are a couple things holding it back. Number one is power management is still broken. Now,
Still broken.
it does have suspend. Ever since we got, what is it, Toe Boot installed,
Yeah,
Suspend
what the
has
fuck
been
is with
working
toe boot
on
anyway? Why do you know this
Mobian, Arch,
crap?
and Manjaro.
That sounds like a
And so when
duct
your
tape
phone is like
band-aid
shut down,
for a bad phone.
the battery life is fine. It bleeds about probably 2 to 3% every hour, which is fine to get you through like a day of work.
Is that with it turned off and
getting
nobody
to a
using
party.
it?
The problem is there hasn't been much in the way of power management while the phone is being used.
Ah.
It still bleeds power a lot.
It's
with the
still
system
no
running,
good.
with programs running.
Just like its
Let's
predecessor,
do a little experiment.
the
We're
Pine
at 92%
Break.
right now. Let's just go to YouTube and play a video real quick. All right, we have cat realizes owner is pregnant.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that. He's drinking the Kool-Aid. He's been boned for his phone. He just hasn't realized he's been boned yet. It'll take a little while, like 2 or 3 years, when it still doesn't work, and no one's still gonna fix it, and no one's gonna write the software for it, and his battery won't work at all. Okay, let's talk about a few other things. This is a short circuit, and this guy here he works on Linus Tech Tips. I don't know what his name is, but every time you search Pinephone in YouTube, he's the top results. And I've seen that video, and the $200 phone can do anything. Pine 64 Pinephone. That's a lie. In the video, he has much trouble with it, and it never really gets anywhere with it. So I wonder how much he got for his part in the Linux phone scam, because I think it's bigger than Pinephone now. I think it's all the Linux phones. It's all a scam, just to keep us waiting for a phone that's never going to come. Like this guy here, bought a Librem 5 phone 3 years ago, still hasn't got it, can't get his money back. Another guy who's been screwed by the Linux people. And I'll bet you if you look up who owns Librem 5, it all meshes in with everybody else. It's a nice little club, guys, but I think you've been caught. And here's another guy here, Tech Hut. His search results come up. Pinephone Pro mobile Linux is getting awesome. Well, that's what he said a year ago, and it's still not awesome. In fact, it sucks more, because now they have 2 phones that suck. The original Pinephone suck, and Pinephone Pro suck. And of course, here's the October a year ago introduction of the Pro. And here's a new one. This guy, he's got to be an idiot. You're not ready for these Linux powered force. You're right, I'm not ready, because I need a phone that works, not a toy for a developer. And why don't you just advertise them as toys for developers? Get your Pinephone. Why pretend that they actually work as phones and deceive people? Well, we know why, because that's your revenue model, isn't it? You know, I get sick just thinking of Pinephone. So again, I'll remind you guys of the Pinephone action with my complaint lodged with the Federal Trade Commission to sanction the Pinephone manufacturers for their fraud in their so-called phone. And of course, it's moving like molasses in January. I don't know, I'll probably be dead before they ever get back to me on what they're going to do about it, but it's a matter of patience. And of course, all you people who are fool enough to buy one for Christmas and be sorry about it, just watch my other videos and feel free to sign up for your seat in the Pinephone action bus, because sooner or later we're going to get these guys, because you can only defraud people for so many years before you get caught, and your turn is coming. Pinephone Linux community, your turn is coming. And to close out this video, we're gonna watch a guy, S2T, Sam 2 Thomas, two initials and a numeral in the middle. He has a video. I haven't seen it yet. I just stumbled across it. I thought we might close out this session by seeing why mobile Linux died, because I think we know why, but well, let's see what he has to say.
Nice to technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about why mobile Linux died. So let's dive right into it. Now first, why did we had a need for this sort of operating system which is open and free? Well, reality is nothing is free in this world. That's something that we all have to learn. And what does it mean? It simply means anytime you're using a free app, for example, Instagram, you are the one that's being sold. Let that be very clear. When you are using Google Map, it's not that Google Map is free, Google Map is selling you. Or to be fair, it's understanding how to sell products to you much better, understanding your behavior
has
better, and then selling this data to whoever is interested.
He heard we were talking about Pinephone, and he hates Pinephone.
Privacy is a long gone concept, meaning nobody gives a damn about it, simply because it's just lost battle at this point.
Sorry, stop that for that. He's a big cat now. Hi, all you Linux users! Don't buy Pinephone. He hates Pinephone. He always comes when I talk about Pinephone to put his 2 cents worth in, because he doesn't like Pinephone. Isn't that right, Sparky? You know, when Speedy wakes up, we'll see if Speedy likes Pinephone. Speedy's is Sparky's new cousin. Anyway, I gotta put you down, Sparky, because I don't want you typing on my keyboard. You'll wreck my video. Okay, let's carry on.
And it's true, flat out, whether you like it or not. It's just like, nope, that's gone. That's like, don't even think about it. It's like a gone system. And government is the biggest issue here. Government always wants to make their citizens into mindless drones. Now, one thing you have to understand, it's true for every government. It's the nature of government itself combined with human psychology. Inherently, this will be the outcome. It does not matter whether it's China or Sri Lanka, India or USA or Pakistan, whatever have you. It's inherent nature of power itself. So you cannot blame, oh, government wants to do this. Like, yeah, that's the whole point of government. That's why you have to keep, removing them, keep cycling them, so one does not become too destructive, too damaging. So that's the reality of it. Like, nature of power demands that you make everybody under you into a mindless. That's the only way you can feel safe. So that's a very vicious cycle. And you have to understand, smartphone is not something that you can live without it. Because, yeah, there are many people who say, oh,
actually,
I live without smartphone. But here's the
it's not easy, but you
today,
can.
Then it's impossible. That's the whole point of it. Yeah, so people who are born before it, they have a neurological architecture where they can survive it. People who have, grew up with it, you can't, because we are social creature. We have to do things that everybody else is doing. That's the whole point of humanity. That's the whole point of a society. Now, again, some things good are also there, some things bad are also there, but we have to deal with it. And not...
We don't have to. Remember Apple's old phrase, think different. Well, it's time to think different again. And it's not for Apple. It's for no smartphone. There's a phone online. I don't have the information handy. That's a rotary dial phone that does texting, and it does nothing else. What a great phone. Nobody's spying on anybody with that phone. Anyway, let's see what else this guy has to say to find out.
Not to mention, in modern life, I'm not just talking like, oh, I feel included. There are a lot of communication benefit of it, be it text to communication, be it messaging communications, be it profit also. For example, there are many people making money out of it. I'm going everywhere using my UPI for payment. So all those sort of things are here. It's real. You cannot live without it. So fundamentally speaking, we do need something that applies some brakes to it. Now, what about Apple and Google? Well, this duopoly that we have at this point in time, there are two sides of the same coin. Both of them are same.
That's correct.
And both will collect boatload of user data. Of course, they will say, no, we are not collecting, not this, not that. No, both of them will do that. Inherently, otherwise the products they are selling is a bit too cheap. So that's the whole point. And what about Google? Google is a giant. You cannot live without it. Flat out, you will not be able to navigate. Heck, majority of food delivery services, all of the APIs are freaking Google API. So that's the reality of it. Fundamentally, you cannot live without it. Think of it this way. It's a verb now. It's like what we say. We say, Google it. You can Google it.
No, I don't say that.
That's the whole point of
Search.
it. It's so big, you cannot live without it. Even if you have an Apple, you have to use Google services. So reality is, without it, you cannot
crack and go kind of guy.
And that's why I kind of like Apple, Google products, simply because if I have to give my data, I would rather have a number of people who are accessing to my data much fewer compared to giving my data to Google and my data to Apple. So that's not that interesting. And then why the heck Apple sells? Well, Apple is a very great way of showing mine's bigger than yours. It's a very good status symbol because yes, the truth. So did anybody actually try to make a Linux phone which is like truly open source and all that jazz? Well, yes, there was some serious attempt because you have the recent data scares, as in like data scares started to happen after 2015, like, shook a lot of people, meaning the amount of data that was like, that was scary to people. We were not thinking like, oh, it will notice something here. No, no, it knows who you are, how you're going to behave before you do. That's the whole fear aspect of if you have a device 24 into 7
That's for
on top
sure.
of you, and then people are like, I want smartwatch also. I'm like, might as well give your soul to them. So the amount of data that was scary. And what scared even more is that the fact that the data is not secure, meaning the people who have nothing to do with that data that can control it. That's why like Trump election was such a big deal. It's like every company sold the fact that Hillary will win without even like, who cares about what public thinks. Everybody, every smear campaign, every Google, heck, like there is a method of madness where every publication house, they will print both articles, like if this wins or if that wins. This is the first time they did not do it. The first time they did not even had what if Trump won. Like they did not even entertain it because all the companies, all the mobile phone companies, Apple, Samsung, everybody was like, okay, what government wants? Okay, government wants this and that. Everybody, that's why Trump winning was such a big deal, such a shock to the system. It's like, no, people can be free of government, people can be free of internet, people can be free of like, people are just like showing you snippets rather than the whole 40 minutes of it. So that's the whole fear aspect that happened recently. And entrepreneurs looking at this opportunity, this void in the market, they jumped in and started companies like Pinephone, Fairphone, Librem 5, and few other like Cosmo Communicator, other companies also. Now, here's the, each of them are focusing on core aspects like privacy and different price point. For example, Fairphone is like, fair. That's the whole point of it. It's fair to everybody in the supply chain, not just like, I'm exploiting children and to make fun from everybody from bottom up, and that's why I
Exploiting
find
children.
it so hilarious.
iPhone
People are like,
users.
doing say using their iPhones. It's like I think about the children. I'm like, stop using iPhone. Like I'm telling you, like iPhone is so bad
Yep.
in India. There is a factory, iPhone factory, and Samsung factory. People working in Samsung factory actually get paid very little, but they get paid. Apple, no. And then Apple is like, oh, we do not knew the subcontractor was not like paying them. It's like that's why your prices were so low. You cannot be that dumb. So that's the whole point. People are like, we want environment. Like, no, no, no. You just want to show that you're bigger than the others. Accept it. Accept it that that's how shallow you are. So these all these companies, they were focusing on different things like Fairphone, fairness. Librem Phone, they went all in. They were like, dude, if the motherboard is there, if the driver is there, if the chip is there, all the source code for it, meaning the driver that makes it work, tick, has to be open source. And if it cannot be open source for some communication proprietary reason, if they could not find it, they made it into a module, meaning you can yeet it out. If you ever have a doubt that it has a backdoor, yeet it out. Don't even think about it, just yeet it out. Again, all these companies like Pinephone was like, okay, let's make Linux into a real thing. So these were some serious attempts with some serious
It's too bad they
money
didn't
put into
actually
the
make
situation.
a real thing.
So why it all failed? Like this, that's a serious number of companies. Then what the hell all failed? Well, mobile operating system that just works, meaning where you can make a phone call, where you can just take a photo, where you can just play a media. It takes a lot of money. Meaning it is true, Apple and Google, they are making boatload of money, but they are spending serious amount of money into making their operating system work. Meaning I can open my phone, take a picture, it works. That takes a lot of money. Now, open source supposed to be a counter for.
Yeah, I said this previously as well. You need investors. You need to pay people for their code because a year has passed. Nobody wants to work for free except people in India apparently. Maybe, but they're probably not very good code writers. But anyway, people want a phone that works, not a piece of shit, or a, a flaming pile of garbage, as Privacy X said once, and it's still true today. Anyway, this guy's a bit hard to listen to, but let's try and get a little more from him.
Find always Linux used in servers rather than Microsoft. Why? Because Microsoft could employ, let's say, 20,000 employees to work on a piece of software. Open source could have like 50,000 or 80,000 or even millions of people working on it. Because if, let's say, one piece of code or kernel is used in hundreds of servers, all those server administration will work on it. It's like, hey, let's look at it. Let's double check it. Let's triple check it. If there is a bug, community will take care of it. And it has happened. It has worked. That's why Linux is used everywhere. Heck, even NASA uses it. So
I want to point out something here. This segment is called "Why It Failed," not why it's failing. Why it failed. So it's a past tense. Pinephone has failed. Just keep that in mind.
It does work, but it does require a critical aspect. Open source itself is not a magic bullet unless you have people using it. For example, let's say some dude made software. For example, Stream Deck kind of software. There is one individual I was in talk with. He made a very good piece of software, and I asked him to make it open source. Let's say he makes it open source. Let's say people start using it, but here's the what if no developers use it? No developer actually looks into the source code and fixes the bugs or makes it better or patches up any security vulnerability. Then what? All of us are using open source, but it's not safe. So that's the whole point. It's what we classify as abandonware at that point in time. So open source does not magically solve this problem. You have to have people in it to use it. And the number of people in the whole ecosystem is very little. Very, and you are assuming everybody in the system is like someone who can actually work on a kernel level.
No.
So, and many other companies, all these companies, almost all of them, they do not have deep level access of system on chip, meaning the SoC that goes in there, the Snapdragon. Again, to be fair, Snapdragon itself does not have, like Qualcomm does not have deep level access. That access lies to ARMS holding. That's why ARMS holding is the license holder of ARM architecture. So they are the only one that can go really deep, like transistor level deep. That's their access. Then you have Qualcomm. Then Qualcomm sells their packages, and again, they cannot, you cannot just do hulu to their packages. Like it's a complete package. You just buy it, shut up. So you do not have that.
Shut up.
What does that mean? That simply means the same hardware that can easily run a full HD.
That's what a guy who owns a phone that works says.
Optimized piece of code, it will have a hard time running a full HD video. Same mobile hardware. You just change the operating system. Google was completely fine-tuned. It worked amazingly well. Same horsepower in Linux system because the driver is not well tuned to SoC level. It just barely works. Barely it will be able to play 720p video. So that's the actual reality of it. Like that's why many times even on paper they will say, oh, Linux is so smooth. The moment you start to do things like take camera, like camera phones are like it's lagging. Why the heck is lagging? The whole pipeline is not that smooth. And community keeps working. And this is the worst thing about Linux, and that's why Linux always failed in desktop environment and mobile environment. Is that anytime there is a problem.
Did you hear that? It failed in desktop and mobile. Are you guys aware of that? Kool-Aid drinkers?
They're like, how about we just fork it? I'm like, you're gonna starve to death if you keep doing that. Like that's fundamentally painful with Linux. Like I had an issue with Linux. I tried to use Linux next to me, and I had a problem. And I touched it the first time. So I was like, why are you using this distribution? The moment somebody uses that's the end of Linux. That's the end of Linux. That's why when Steam Deck was made, they're like, dude, we are using this Steam OS. I don't give a damn about anything else, and that's the only way you can make it work. So all this community forking, let's say there was 35,000 people who are using Pinephone. Let's say in that 35,000, at least 500 people can actually do things to your operating system. They are not just users; they can actually do things to the system. Now you fork it. They are flat out, selling the fact that we have 5 distributions. I'm like, that's why it will not work. That's why like half of the system, the phone app does not work.
That's so true. Pick one, just one, and work on it hard. Not have all these different flavors where none of them work, because it's spreading so thin, the amount of available resources. It'll never be done.
Oh yeah, camera app is super slow. Oh yeah, media playback does not work. Again, you divided your workforce into that many segments. It's literally why Apple phones are so smooth, because they have only few hardwares. And Samsung phone, while even having much larger developer team, much higher oomph of technology, they still could not do it, because they have even if they have higher people, they have 20,000 models. So that forking flat out kills it. Rather than brute forcing perfection into one OS, they're just like, what if this, what if that, what if that, what if this, what if that? It's like, yeah, all of them are garbage. That's the reality.
All of them are garbage.
And app support is zero. It's just like the app support, and this is so bad, it will make app support for Microsoft Windows mobile phone look better.
Oh, no,
and there are very weird, brutal limits.
Not that I want.
Let's not
I just want a phone that,
and camera quality, let's not
works as a phone.
That's the one thing. The moment you open the camera and you're like, nope, you will just nope it out of there, just flat out. If you are any individual who wants to use camera, all of the mobile phones, if they are using, because many manufacturers are giving you Android or Linux system, if you're choosing Linux, you will use the camera, and you're like, nope. You will nope it out of there, flat out. That's how garbage it is.
Wow.
That's why it failed.
Garbage it is.
So can we expect any revival? Well, the first thing you have to understand, the revival can only happen if OEM jumps into it.
Yes.
Anyone other than OEM level, it will not work. It has to be the OEM itself. So driver and kernel level support has to be done from the core level, meaning the people who are building the motherboard, the people who are like, okay, this is why the clock cycle does this is why we have this sort of power draw. Like you will always find people saying there's a lot of phantom draw in Linux system. Yeah, it's working as a laptop. It thinks mobile as a laptop, but Android was designed for mobile systems, so inherently has a lot of smoothification where it's like, I get it, I'm a mobile.
All right, I'm gonna skip ahead a minute. So that was an interesting one. I'm gonna close out this video by reading one of the comments from this channel. Mobile Linux is certainly not dead. It is slow development, yes. Should there be more developers? Yes. But to say that it's dead is dumb and literally untrue. Well, glug, 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 drink some Kool-Aid, buddy. What the guy just said, I've said this as well. It needs resources. You need investors, and you need to decide which flavor you're going to go with, and scrap everything else and get it done. Because 2 years have passed now. I've been on board for the second year, and it's not even moving forward. It's moving backwards. Nothing's happening. You know, you're only going to sell so many brick Pinephones and get your $10 commission for so long, and then it's going to trickle in, and then the courts will be knocking on your door to come discuss with them why you did it that way, and what kind of fraud you are. So beware. You know, R.I.P. Linux. R.I.P. Thanks for listening, everybody. I look forward to the comments. Oh boy.